Hello, everybody, and thank you for joining me tonight. It is Sunday evening, October the 19th, and I'm having two shows this weekend. Getting a little late start. It's 10 to 8 in Central Standard Time, but I really had some good companies to talk about that complements the show that I did yesterday and on Saturday. And basically, I started that show talking about gold and why I wasn't worried about the sell-off that we had on Friday. And it's up about $70 since the of the low on Friday. So it's making a very beautiful comeback. And whenever I see something like Friday, I always review the fundamental reasons of why I'm bullish on something. And for a long time, I've talked about the death spiral of debt being one of the key drivers of gold. I also think that the unsustainable cost of servicing the debt is a added problem to the death spiral of debt. I think that the world fiat currency and debt system is broken, and now we've got stagflation on top of that. So none of that changed between Thursday and Friday, and it certainly hasn't changed over the weekend. So I maintain my very bullish outlook on gold and silver for that matter. And I would also point out, let's have a quick look at silver. It's gaining back some of that lost ground from Friday. Um, when it comes to gold and silver, they're really telling us, as well as the precious metals stocks for that matter, that an interesting thing happened right about here in late August. And that was when the Federal Reserve had their meeting in Jackson Hole, Wyoming, and Powell talked about, basically showing his cards that he was going to cut interest rates. And I believe what the market is telling us with gold, silver, and copper, or gold, silver, and the precious metal stocks, is that they're sniffing out stagflation is going to get a lot worse very rapidly. And if you look at, what exactly does it mean when the Fed cuts interest rates? Well, why are they cutting interest rates? They say because it's to support the jobs market. Well, where the jobs market goes, so goes the economy. And they're not throwing the jobs market under the bus because they know that that could cause a steep recession and a painful recession, and they want to try to get ahead of that, which they are always too late to the party. And but the other effect is that they are throwing the inflation under the bus. So as the economy and the jobs market is weakening, their efforts to try to support that is throwing inflation under the bus. So inflation is going to take off, and that combined together is a stagflationary problem. And so you see what's happening with gold, you see what's happening with silver. You're also seeing that the gold and silver stocks have significantly outperformed gold and silver. And that is because I think that gold, silver, and the precious metal stocks are sniffing out stagflation in addition to all those longer term problems. And so, um, those kind of movements on Friday don't shake my conviction at all. And I think that it'll turn around very rapidly, most likely this week coming up. And so yesterday I talked about a group of companies that I call my unicorn picks. And then I got into the top of my mind picks, stocks that are doing things that have my attention in a big way. I talked about my majors, I talked about mid tiers, and I talked about junior miners. So today, what I'm going to do is there was some news during the week that I wanted to talk about on four companies. Then I have my developers to talk about and some explorers that I'm seeing very bullish things for. And so I'm going to get onto those right now. We're going to start with the news company that made some very impressive news was Orla Mining. Now, hold on a second here. I'm going to pull up Orla's stock chart. And as you can see, Orla was down 10.93% on Friday, or $2.08 a share, to $16.95. And it had recently made a significant breakout above the 50-day moving average after a consolidating period around the 50-day moving average for pretty much the halfway through April until just recently. And so this is an important breakout, and Friday's action doesn't worry me at all. In fact, there's been a couple of really good news releases out for Orla that have helped them to make that significant breakout. One of those was on October 6th, so a couple weeks ago. They announced high-grade drilling confirms significant expansion opportunity along proven gold trend. This is on their Musselwhite project mine in Northwest Ontario, and they had some spectacular results. 4.1 meters of 15 grams per ton of gold with visible gold observed, underground resource growth. They hit some big holes underground, 10 meters of 27.2 grams of gold, 15.7 meters at 6.89 grams per ton of gold. And this was a significant, these step out holes were over, I think, almost 2 kilometers away from the where they're mining. And so this just goes to show you that when a project like Musselwhite is stuck in a major portfolio like it was with Newmont, it doesn't get the love that it deserves. It doesn't get the love that it deserves on exploration drilling, and it doesn't get the love it deserves at the mine. And so, that mine has been in production for 28 years. And I think with the right amount of love that it could be producing for another 28 years. And so, in the hands of a company the size of Orla bought the new Musselwhite mine from Newmont. They roll up their sleeves and they're doing that drilling work that needed to be done, and they're doing that work that needs to be done on the mine, giving it the love that it deserves. And then on when was it? October the 14th, so 5 days ago, Orla reported strong gold production from Musselwhite in the third quarter. So they said the company is on track to achieve revised production guidance, so that Orla is on track to achieve revised annual consolidated production guidance of 265,000 ounces to 285,000 ounces of gold. So somewhere in that range is what they expect to be producing, and the Musselwhite project is a big contributor to that, as well as their Camino Rojo project. So Jason Simpson, who's the president and CEO of Orla, said, and I quote, with stabilization at Camino Rojo progressing well and integration at Musselwhite advancing smoothly, both operations are performing well. We are now on track to achieve the high end of our revised production guidance. And so, that in a nutshell says a lot about what Musselwhite means to. Before Musselwhite, they only had the Camino Rojo mine. But by adding Musselwhite, giving it the love that it deserves, now they've got another driver of their production. And so, yeah, I mean, Orla has a lot of great things going for it. They are an acquisitive company as well. And, these days, there's not a lot of mid tiers out there that there's projects out there that are not big enough to move the needle for the majors. They're too big for the junior gold miners. And so they're something that could fit into the portfolio of a mid tier. But there's not a lot of mid tiers to go after those kind of projects. So, in addition to what they're doing at the Camino Rojo mine, and Musselwhite, and their third mine, which is in development in Nevada. They could also be an acquirer, and and of course the price of gold. So there's a lot of catalysts that can move Orla up, and we've started to see what a couple of those catalysts have done since they announced those drill results and also the production numbers. They broke out quite nicely. Now they gave a good chunk of that back on Friday, but I think that that was more emotional trading in gold than it was the fundamentals that I talked about earlier. And nothing has changed for Orla Mining between Thursday and Friday. So, I believe that it has made the important breakout since the sideways action from April until recently. And I think it's got a lot more blue sky ahead of it. Okay, the next company that had news out was, oops, I got my things mixed up here a little bit. Okay, I'll go to Newfound Gold. So Newfound Gold intersects high-grade gold mineralization in Dome Zone step-out program, 10.4 grams per ton of gold over 20.5 meters, and 7.47 grams per ton of gold over 13 meters. This was the high-grade mineralization that they announced in new drill holes from the ongoing 2025 drill program on their 100% owned Queensway project, which is now moving towards production. And here are the highlights from the Dome Zone. But they also had very good results from the Lotto Zone as well, 40.6 grams per ton of gold over 2.8 meters, 30 grams over 2.05 meters, 12.3 grams per ton of gold over 2.25 meters. Lotto North also had high grade gold in it. Melissa Render, who's the president of Newfound Gold, stated, and I quote, these new results from our Dome Step Out program, where we have hit high grade gold mineralization over broad widths, demonstrate the potential for resource expansion within the footprint of the PEA mine plan in the AFZ core at Queensway. The infill results from Lotto and Lotto North reported today focus on resource conversion and are consistent with past results. All results from the 2025 drill program will be incorporated into a Queensway mineral resource update currently scheduled for the second half or first half of 2026. End quote. So I'm going to go back to the stock. I'm going to go to the stock here to show you a couple things. NFG is their stock symbol. Okay, so when the company they announced the maiden resource estimate on Queensway, the stock just got hammered. And the reason it got hammered was the market was anticipating that it would be bigger than were, what a lot of people thought it would be. Now, because when you're trying to bring a new mine into production, you can't do one of these, and I've talked about this issue before, which is what I call an arm wavy resource estimate, because you need real numbers. Not all resource estimates are created equal, and um, there can be a lot of arm waving in a resource estimate. And but you can't do that when you're planning to bring a project into production. You need the hard numbers. And that gives you a conservative estimate of what's there. And as they do this additional drilling, they can start to expand on that. And ultimately, I think that they've got a project that will be in production for decades, okay, and producing high grade gold. So another thing that happened after that is they brought in a new management team that has a lot of experience in building mines. Okay, very talented mine builders. So they're going away from being focused solely on exploration drilling and moving the project towards production. And they're still drilling a lot because that's how they're going to update their resource estimates and do their advanced economic studies. But when they brought that new management in, that's when I made them a pick just before they went through this golden cross, and they've performed very well since they bottomed out after the emotional trading based on you know market expectations of a higher resource, and they've been performing very well ever since. And I think they got a lot of great performance in ahead of them. And they sold down 6.2% on Friday, like practically every gold stock. They were down 23 cents to $3.44. And, the way I look at things, if the fundamentals haven't changed for the metal, and they certainly haven't changed for the company, when you see these kind of pullbacks on emotions, that can be a great buying opportunity. Now, of course, I'm not making buying or selling recommendations. I never do. And I always advise you to speak with your financial advisors before making those decisions and doing your homework. I'm merely using it as a example that when things get emotional like that, I always review the fundamentals of the metal, in this case, gold, and what's going on their project, and nothing has changed. And so I maintain my bullish outlook for newfound gold. All right. So let's move over to Luca Mining, a junior gold miner that I follow and have picked. And on the 16th of October, so 16, so that would have been the day before. So that would have been on Thursday. And they announced that Luca intersects high-grade gold at Reforma, including 13 meters of 11.4 grams per ton of gold equivalent. The highlights were that they continue to identify high-grade gold and silver intercepts from their Reforma deposit as the drilling program targets expansion of the existing mineral resource. Surface drill holes were colored within the Reforma deposit and it intersected notable intervals of massive sulfide mineralization. That's very interesting. So you're talking about VMS kind of stuff. Surface drill hole intercepts 13 meters. So these were the highlight holes. These two here, 24 meters is 6 grams per ton of gold equivalent. So you got a nice mix in this high headline hole, 4.96 grams per ton of gold and 237 grams per ton of silver. I mean, just on its own, that silver would make a great mine in Mexico, very profitable. So when you throw in 5 grams of gold and 0.66% copper, 3% zinc, and 1.3% lead, it really enhances that hole quite impressively. And then another hole had the same kind of mix with 2.25 grams per ton of gold, 74.54 grams per ton of silver, 0.86% copper, 2.39% zinc, and 0.49% lead. Underground drill hole had a nice mix in it, as well of gold, silver, copper, and zinc. Based on the strong results, Luca has increased the surface drill program at Campo Morado by 120%, with the 2025 surface drill budget now totaling 5,500 meters of drilling. The underground drill program has been expanded 50% and will now total 7,500 meters of drilling in 2025. Drilling from both surface and underground continues. Uh, then they give you some more details. You can see the cross section where they hit the high grade gold. I'm looking for a quote here from their, yes, okay. So VP Exploration, Paul Gray commented, and I quote, Luca continues to successfully delineate and expand the precious metals rich Reforma deposit with our surface exploration drill program. In addition, with drilling from underground, we have defined new mineralized areas in close proximity to current mining operations. Based on the drilling success achieved to date, both of our 2025 surface and underground drill programs have been significantly expanded. This is a transformative period for the company as Luca begins to unlock the property-wide gold-rich VMS potential of the Campo Morado property, end quote. So Paul Gray, he said some really important stuff there. And one of them that I would highlight is when in this second sentence, when he mentioned that they define new mineralized areas in close proximity to current mining operations. It's one thing to find high grade, but it's another thing about how long it takes you to mine that high grade. And when it's in close proximity to current mining operations, that means that it can move into that mine planning very quickly. He talked about the drilling success and that they've expanded. And he talked about this being a transformative period to unlock the property-wide gold-rich VMS potential of the Campo Morado project. Now, I would highlight, folks, that VMS deposits are found in clusters. Where you find one, you usually find more. And so I'm really excited to hear that they're doing that exploration for additional VMS potential. And when you see, I love seeing these VMS systems that have high grade gold and copper and silver and zinc. And so, they've got the potential to find more of those because the characteristics in a cluster tend to be very similar. So not only are they doing great things around the mining operations, but they've got the potential to find more of these high grade gold, silver, copper, zinc, lead VMS systems. And so that's a mouthful there in a small few sentences by Paul Gray, but I'm really excited to see this combination. Okay, let's quickly look at their stock before I move on to the next company. Luca is their symbol and Luca is their name. So as you can see, they bottomed here in September 2024, had a good run, had some basing, had a big breakout, some more basing, a breakout, and I think that this is a very attractive place to be looking at the stock when they're halfway between their 200-day moving average and their 50-day moving average. When I see this in a bull market with a company for the metals that they're in, and they're doing good things on the property, I get pretty excited when I see this. Now, like a lot of gold and silver stocks, they were down 4.67% on Friday or 7 cents a share to $1.43. but I'm really positive, bullish about what the company is working on their projects, and that they are a junior miner that wants to become a much larger junior miner. And earlier I mentioned how there just aren't enough mid tiers. A lot of those got taken out during the 2001 to 2011 bull market, and it left a void in an important part of the food chain that was around for decades before that. And so we don't have enough mid tiers, and we certainly don't have enough junior gold miners that want to grow into being mid tiers. And that creates a very good opportunity for the juniors because they can look at projects that aren't big enough to move the needle for mid tiers and majors, but could be company makers for a junior. And so I see a lot of opportunities for companies like Luca Mining in the mergers and acquisitions of projects that they can bring into production fairly quickly that, again, that aren't the size that can move the needle for the bigger mid tiers and the much bigger majors. And so I see a lot of catalysts for this company, mainly, of course, the what's going on their properties and their mines, and also with the price of gold and silver, and also with potential opportunities out there that I see in the space. And so that's the Luca mining story. So now I'm going to go to a little explorer that I've recently started talking about, which is Mithril, silver, and gold. Um, and they announced exploration results and update for multiple targets at their Copelcan property in Durango State of Mexico. Durango State is a very well-known mining district in Mexico. It's a very important one, and they've got a really impressive project. So this was from their Target 1 area, 7.2 meters of 2.78 grams per ton of gold, 148 grams per ton of silver. You know, that's a great combination there. Uh, 2.05 meters is 7.41 grams per ton of gold and 419 grams per ton of silver from 266 meters. This is how these epithermal veins in Mexico, they range from anywhere from 1 to 5 or even up to 10 meters. And they're vertically dipping and they're great underground mines. And this is the kind of stuff that makes for these great mines down here. This would be a fantastic eh, portion to mine. 2.8 meters is 3.97 grams per ton of gold, 208 grams per ton of silver. Really beautiful numbers. And so they got a bunch of those. They talk about their that it extended their target one strike over 30%. Also, great things to hear. So they're not just pounding away in areas that they're known, they're starting to step out nicely. Target 5 drilling rapidly progressing with 11 drill holes now completed. Assays are pending from that. Target 3 advancing to be drill ready in the coming months. So it sounds like that will get underway in 2026. District-wide aerial magnetic survey. So this geophysics will help them target what they're drilling for. The mineralization horizon is currently expanded to over 1,300 meters of vertical strike across 9 kilometers in the southern half of the district. Their managing director and CEO, John Skeet, stated, and I quote, drilling at Target 1 continues to deliver strong results, confirming the western extension of the key district scale east-west structure and expanding the strike length of the Target 1 area by more than 30% with wide high-grade intercepts throughout. Target 1 lies within the district middle section, which now extends over 7 kilometers, linking multiple high-grade historic mines and numerous prospective structural features to be tested as part of Mithril's fully funded 45,000-meter drill program. At the large Silver Ridge Target 5 area in the southern section, drilling has progressed rapidly with 11 holes completed and first assays pending. In parallel, our geological team is advancing the district scale model supported by an ongoing petrographic study and upcoming aerial magnetic survey as we vector in on the conduit system responsible for the widespread high-grade gold and silver mineralization across the Copalcine district. The defining hallmark of the Copalcine remains its exceptional distribution of bonanza grade gold and silver mineralization throughout the 70 square kilometer property. End quote. So he had a lot of great things there to say. And here's their project, as they say, 70 square kilometers. So it's a nice big project. It's over on the western side of Durango State. There's a lot of great mines in Durango State. Fresnillo has one, Topia has one, Luca has one, Endeavor has one. Down in the southern part, well, actually, over, it's not far from Durango, is Vizsla Silver's great project. Here they show you all of the past production from small scale miners, historic miners. Look at all the mine pits in gold and the mine adits in black. You can see them all over the project. And this is a great place. I mean, those old time miners have done a lot of work for the new companies going in there. It's like they've done advanced surface sampling and mapping and underground sampling for these miners and or for the modern explorer to get in there and hit the ground running. And that's what Mithril is doing. Here they show you all the widespread mineralization of gold and I think yeah that's gold equivalent. So there's gold and silver all over the place where those small scale miners had historically been mining. I see some important structures that are associated with those surface mineralization. That's really important. They show you all the drilling that they're doing and the veins that they have known. There's a lot of under veins and breccia units that need more work. And, these veins, they tend to be found in clusters. And so where you find one, you often find many. And look at how minimal. Look at Refugio 1, where it's got these high grade intersections. Only 2 holes have drilled into that system. And so they got a lot of room to expand. They could expand towards the surface. They could keep following at depth. I like to see this high grade there, and then it gets a little wider with the distribution of the high grade in there. So Mithril has a really exciting project, and glad to see these results. Congratulations to the team at Mithril. I'm glad I recently made them a pick, and these results make me even happier. So let's have a look at their stock chart. There it is, Mithril Silver and Gold. As you can see, they've only been trading for less than a year. They were Apache Trader. They do trade on the Australian Stock Exchange, so they're more active there as well. But with those kind of results, they could they will probably create a lot more enthusiasm for their Canadian listing. So I would expect it to start to see more consistent trading in Canada on the venture exchange. They traded down 9.23% on Friday, or 6 cents a share to 59 cents. Yeah, nothing has changed with this company. In fact, it's getting better. It's getting less, or it's giving you more data. Well, it came back almost 10% on Friday. And that was news from this week. So take a good look at Mithril. I like what I see. I like how much drilling they're doing, how much assays are pending. They're in a place where you can pretty much drill year round. So I think that you're going to see a lot of news out of this company. And I certainly like what I see with Mithril. Okay, so now I'm done with my news, companies that have news. Now I'm going to get into some stocks that I saw action on. So Foran Mining, I picked them down here at about 250-ish. And the reason that I picked them is that they're in that special situation where a company, there's two really important parts of the Lassonde curve. The left side of the Lassonde curve, when they make a discovery and they shoot up for that, then there's a development discount window, and then there's another a peak another run up on the right side of the Lassonde curve when a company brings a project into production. Now, just before it brings it into production, it's called the sweet spot of the Lassonde curve. And what that means is they're stopping the spending of money in the development discount window and they're getting towards making money from the production. I had really good success with two companies over the last couple of years that I had done that with, which one was, well, actually three, Orla Mining, and also for their Camino Rojo project before it came into production, Mag Silver, another one that I got in the sweet spot of of the development discount window of the Lassonde curve, and also Silvercrest. And so this is my next one. And I'm very bullish on what they've got because they're getting ready to bring this into commercial production in 2026. They're over halfway finished the construction. And as they've been, really getting things in a good flow with the construction of the mine, and it's a gold and copper mine, VMS mine. They've had a nice break through the 50-day moving average and the 200-day moving average. I think they're only a couple weeks away from maybe even less than that from a golden cross. And that golden cross is getting close to happening as they keep advancing towards bringing the project into commercial production. So I think that this is going to be the next great pick for me, where a company transitions out of the development discount window of the Lassonde curve and then goes up the right side of the Lassonde curve. It just so happens that Pierre Lassonde is also an important shareholder of this company, and also Agnico Eagle, which is my top pick for major gold miners. They are also an important shareholder, and the reason that they're a shareholder is because there is a lot of similarities to the mine that these guys are developing to one, well, really the company maker for in the past for Agnico Eagle. So when you've got people like Pierre Lassonde and companies like Agnico Eagle that have experience with these kind of mines have done that homework for you, and the company is about to transition from the development discount window into a producer. Great time to be looking at Foran, they were down 3.31% on Friday, or 12 cents a share to $3.51. And as I said, it's a good time for you to be looking at Foran. All right, another developer that I'm very bullish on is a company called Meridian Mining. They've got a project down in Brazil. And I've been very bullish on this company for quite some time now, I think about a year and a half. And it's what makes it really special is that it's got high grade of copper and gold right at the surface. It's in a mining friendly part of Brazil. And I think that this company is going to have a future very impressive VMS mine in Brazil. And they have a corridor where there could be multiple VMS deposits. They already know they have two on this belt, and I think they're going to have more. But right now, they're really focused on those two because they want to move those towards production. Okay. And as you can see, they had an important golden cross here and have been onwards and upwards ever since then. They, like many of the gold stocks, got hit on Friday. They were down 11.54% or 15 cents a share to $1.15. Now, usually you would expect some really bad news from the company when they go down 11.5%. In this case, it had nothing to do with the company or its projects and everything to do with emotional trading in the gold market. And so, another one I think you should take a real close look at. I'm very bullish on their path to production, and I think they got a great development project. Okay, I already talked about Newfound Gold, so I was going to talk about them, but I already talked about them, so don't need to talk about them again. So now this is an undiscovered gem to me of a developer. They've only been trading for, since basically late around December of 2025, or sorry, 2024. And they had been in a correction basically since they started trading, got all the way down to 39 cents. And then they announced an impressive intersection of on a gold target at their project that had a lot of visible gold in it in their very first hole into that target. And that caused it to go up quite dramatically. Now there's been some profit taking and it dropped down 4.29% on Friday, or 3 cents a share to 67 cents. And they've got not only do they have assays pending, more drilling to do, but what really excites me the most about this company is that they've got a 1,300 square kilometer project in the Abitibi region of Canada. And this project was in production until 2022 by Glencore, one of the major base metal producers in the world. And so the project was, it's similar to how Newmont sold off a lot of their non-core assets. And so Glencore did the same thing. And Nuvau was able to acquire this while they were a private company. Okay. And so they've got a massive project that has been in production since the 1960s until 2022. It's all permitted. They've got the processing facilities there. It's right near a mining town in Quebec called Matagami. It's actually a very well-known project because it's been in production since the 1960s until 2022. Now, these kind of projects, they don't get the kind of love that they deserve from a company like a Glencore because they've got bigger fish to fry elsewhere. But it can certainly be a company maker for a company like Nuvau. And so Nuvau has one focus of theirs is to bring the mine back into production for base metals. This is a VMS mining district, and so they have underground workings that can be extended. And they drilled a gold target that was known on this project for many years that Glencore had no interest in. So they drilled that gold target, and that's where they hit a quartz vein that had a lot of visible gold in it. So it's brand new discovery. And, when you consider that this is such a big project in the Abitibi, which is well known for base or for gold, and it's never been explored for gold, and now they're finding visible gold in the drill core at a brand new target. They got another area to the north of that where they have a phenomenal amount of visible gold, grains of gold at the surface sampling. And so they've got this project. Not only does it have the potential for the VMS mine to get back into production, but it's got a lot of potential for gold as well. So that combination, when you consider that this company has a sub $50 million valuation and it's got a project of those merits, um, you know, that's a really undiscovered gem. And I hope you do your homework on Nuvo. I'm already a shareholder, and I'm looking at this weakness as an opportunity to increase my position. And so, I'm biased. I'm a shareholder, but take that for what it's worth. But I should certainly like what I see, and I think if you do your homework, you'll agree with me. If you don't, let me know why. I'd like to hear it. All right. Okay. I have a special category in my reports, which is called Gold Explorers with Important Discoveries. Okay, on yesterday's show, I talked about one of those, which is Goliath, which is now moved up to what I call my unicorn picks. But my other one is Southern Cross, SXGC. That's their symbol. Okay, so what's the story on Southern Cross? Well, they have only been trading since the third quarter of 2023, and they've had a meteoric rise since then. And why have they had a meteoric rise? Well, they have a project that's about 30 kilometers from Fosterville, which is one of the greatest high-grade gold mines in the world. It's an orogenic gold system, and Southern Cross has all the hallmarks of what you need in an orogenic gold system in their discovery, and they find a lot of high-grade gold. So why did I pick this company when it dipped down here and created this short-term cup and handle? It was because, well, I liked the project, and by dipping down to around the $5 level, I uh, I liked my chances that it would go up from there. It went through the 50-day moving average and has closed on Friday down 10.66% or 90 cents a share to $7.54. And again, here's again that high grade discovery or the potential to be a Fosterville 2.0 kind of success, it hasn't changed from Thursday to Friday, folks. And so if you've been waiting on this one or waiting to do your homework or doing your homework on, now's a good time to sharpen up that pencil because, I think I didn't pick this company at around $5 because I thought it would go to $7.50. I picked this company because I think that they're going to have huge success. And so that's the Southern Cross Gold Consolidated story. All right. Now I've got a handful of explorers. I'm going to try and get through those fairly quickly. One of them is Argenta Silver. Now, I like this company a lot. I picked them, I want to say at about 50 cents a share. I really like that they had this beautiful cup and handle. And the handle was very mild and short-lived, and then it's been onwards and upwards since then. Over the last few trading days, it dipped down below the 50-day moving average. And that's a great time to look at a company like them. They were down 10.59% on Friday, or 9 cents a share, to 76 cents a share. They've got a lot of drill holes in the lab. They got a lot of assay results to come out. It's a very high grade silver system, and it's silver only, folks. These are very hard to find. High grade silver only deposits. And they got a really substantial resource of 50 some million ounces of silver. And now they're doing the expansion drilling to add to that resource. And I think they're having great results as they step out beyond where the historical drilling was done. And so this is a great story to me. And when you get a discount on ILAGAG, you might want to take a look at it, and I think you should. And why I didn't want to spend too much time with AGAG, Argenta Silver, is because I'm working on an interview with their management. I hope to have that done soon. So just wanted to give you a heads up on that one. Okay, the next company, just a few minutes ago, I talked about um, Southern Cross, and where is my, oops, put the wrong letter in there. Okay, Golden Cross. So Golden Cross is right beside Southern Cross, which has made that spectacular discovery I talked about earlier, not very far from Fosterville. And I believe Southern Cross is going to be a Fosterville 2.0 story. And Golden Cross has a big land position all around Southern Cross, and it has all the same hallmarks as Southern Cross, and so now they're drilling on that. There has been some past drilling on it, but they didn't really get a chance to roll up their sleeves and really understand these steeply dipping orogenic gold veins. And Golden Cross is very well financed and are doing that roll up the sleeve drilling to really get to the guts of the system. There's potential for multi orogenic gold veins on their project. I think that they're going to make a very impressive project out of their project in Australia. And they were another one that dipped down on Friday, down 3.42%, or 2 cents a share to 57 cents. Now, they've had a bit of weakness since they topped out here at about 95 cents. And what that is because the labs are just jammed because of all the drilling that Southern Cross is doing, and they're not too far away neighbors. And so that has, the drilling results have not come out. And, these days, investors tend to have the attention span of a gnat. And so they've been coming off lately, but that does not change my opinion one iota about this project. I am very bullish on this project. You know, I call Southern Cross a Fosterville 2.0 story. Well, Golden Cross is a Southern Cross 2.0 story to me. They're doing a lot of drilling. They can drill year round. They're well financed to keep drilling. They're going to start having a lot of assay results out, so they got a lot of catalysts ahead of them. Stay tuned for Golden Cross. I got a very good feeling about what Golden Cross is going to find with their drilling, and so you want to do your homework on them. Now, Kootenay Silver is a silver explorer, and I have a hard time finding a lot of good silver companies all along the food chain, but they've got a very good, a great discovery in Mexico. They've got a cluster of epithermal veins. They've only explored a few of those veins, and yet they've hit a lot of high grade. And they've come out with a maiden resource of about 50 million ounces. Sort of a milestone for these kind of projects is when they get up to about 100 million ounces of silver. And based on what I can see from their drilling, I think they're going to have no problem exceeding that. In fact, their management has said that they're looking for a lot more than 100 million ounces. Why that's used as a rule of thumb in silver exploration is because, you know, that gives you a ballpark 10 million ounces of silver production over 10-year mine life. So you're getting at that scale size that could mean, you know, a good his, a future of mining on the project. And in Mexico, those kind of high grade mines are free cash flow machines because they're low cost to produce from them. All the mines in Mexico, which is 25% of the silver production ever mined in all the world, has come from Mexico, and most of that has come from these epithermal veins, these high grade epithermal veins that are low cost to produce. Earlier, I talked about the success I had picking Silvercrest, Mag Silver, and they were mining these epithermal veins as well, these high grade epithermal veins. And I think that Kootenay has a new important discovery. Actually, I got to put Kootenay into a new category soon. I'll talk about that when I do it. But I'm really positive on what Kootenay has. And look, they were down 7.65% on Friday, 13 cents a share to $1.57. The discovery hasn't gone anywhere. The resource hasn't gone anywhere. The silver hasn't gone anywhere. You know, it's a great project, and so another one to do your homework on. Mr. Market gave everybody a discount sale on Friday. I don't believe that that's going to be a trend that lasts more than a day or two. And so, yeah, it's a good time to take a look at Kootenay Silver. Partially for one reason is that I'm always looking for great silver explorers, silver developers, silver miners, and there just are not very many of those. So if you believe like me that silver is going to set a series of record highs, and that's going to bring a lot of generalist investors into the silver stocks, they have a very small menu to look at. And Kootenay Silver is one of my top silver explorer picks. So take a look at Kootenay. I already talked about another one, which is Mithril. Now I'm going to talk about another explorer that silver explorer that I'm very positive about. And they have not been trading for very long either. Their name is Pacifica Silver Corp. As you can see, they started trading in the back in the September of 2024. They were a patchy trader, and lately they've come to life. So why have they come to life? They've come to life because they're drilling. They raised a whole bunch of money. They raised that from companies like Silvercrest put money, or sorry, Silver, I can't remember the name, Silvercorp. They put money into this company. First Majestic, a miner of silver, put money into this company. Vizsla Silver put money into this company, and Eric Sprott put money into this company. So a lot of really smart money is coming into this company. And it's because they have a great project in Mexico. And I can't remember where I picked them actually. I think it might have been around $1, I want to say, right around here somewhere. And they closed on Friday down 5.52% or 8 cents a share to $1.37. This creates a great opportunity for you to do your homework on the company and talk to your financial advisors. I just have a lot of really great things to say about this company. In fact, I'm going to do a deep dive on this company, and I'm going to do a deep dive on Kootenay. I'm going to do a deep dive on Mithril. I hope to have that out next week. And so I'll give you more information about these companies in a special show. I'll do one just for silver explorers. How's that? We'll see. Maybe I'll add another company or two on there. But yeah, Pacifica Silver, really good one for you to look at if you want exposure to silver exploration. And yeah, that's the Pacifica story. All right, Sunday night, got to get this out. Um, Again, I'm going to close by saying that nothing changed on Friday for the bullish outlook for gold or silver. We still have a death spiral of debt. We still have unsustainable cost of servicing the debt. We still have a globally broken fiat currency and debt system from the top, which is the United States, pretty much through every country. And we now have stagflation kicking in. All of these things are bullish for uh, gold, silver, and the precious metals stocks. I just so happen to cover a lot of those because I've been, riding this bull for a long time now. And ultimately, folks, it took 50 years to break the fiat currency and debt system and create a death spiral of debt. And now, on top of that, you got stagflation starting to kick in, like what we saw in the 1970s. And when you put all of those things combined, it took like 50 years to get to where we are today, to this perfect storm that just keeps getting more perfect. And I believe some talk about a 1 or 3 year or 5 year bull market in gold and silver. I think that it took 50 years to do this damage, and it's going to take a lot of years, maybe a few decades to fix this system. And gold, silver are going to play an important role in fixing that. So nothing has changed for me between Thursday or Friday. And I think this is a great time for you to be looking at, especially the precious metals stocks, because there is a tremendous amount of value propositions in the stocks because they're still being priced as if gold was under $2,500 an ounce and silver was under $30 an ounce. And we're up dramatically from those prices. And yet the precious metal stocks have not even caught up to those prices, let alone where we are today or where we're going. As always, I'm an idea generator. I'm not making buying or selling recommendations. I use my 32 years of experience, having worked with great mentors in geophysics, geochemistry, and geology to help me find good stories for you to do your homework and speak with your financial advisors. And I highly advise the homework because in my career, the most successful investors have all been those that are well informed on the metals and well informed on the companies they put their money into. And this is true in every industry. The most well informed are the ones who make the most money in any sector. So be that well informed investor. All righty. On that note, have a great day, great rest of your evening if you're in the time zone that I am, or if you're in Monday already, have a great Monday, and we'll talk to you soon.